Welcome, welcome to our VINES meeting. We love doing this. It is so much fun. As I mentioned, we have had some changes to it. Originally it was a group where it was just, oh my gosh, I need to see people during the pandemic. And it has evolved over the last 18, 19 months into a group of professionals who enjoy getting together, who enjoy building this community and learning from some absolutely fantastic speakers. As we did a video to talk about this, and I don't know how many people saw it, but Eugene and I recorded this video because we're going to kind of turn our focus now and focus on what we call the wheel of life. And Eugene, do you want to explain just a little bit about that before we truly jump into this?
Okay, thanks, Deb. So many of you may have heard the wheel of life. A lot of personal coaches use this tool, but it's really to get yourself recentered in going forward in your life. There's different components to it. And again, we're going to talk about health and fitness today and perhaps next month as well. But there's different components to it. And when you do they're free assessments, you can go online and find those. You kind of understand where you are in life and some of the results that you get back. I know Deb did hers, I've done mine. You come back and go, oh, I'm not balanced in health or fitness. I'm not balanced in finance. I'm not balanced in, religion. I'm not balanced in a couple other things. And how do you move forward with those? And one of the things we want to do is bring subject matter experts to the table with us to explain that. How do we do this? And like we're going to be talking about today with Maria, how do we take care of our health and wellness piece? That's very, very important. So it's really to make that circle, that wheel turn smoothly as we go forward in life. But it's a good time to just step back and do an assessment. Where am I and how do I go forward?
Right. And the kind of the one that we're looking at has self-image, career, finance, health, social, family, love, recreation, contribution, and spirituality. So, there's a lot that's in there. And, it's funny. I believe there's not really a balance because it all ties together, right? And I always love the people that talk about a work-life balance. There is no such thing. But we want to try and make sure that where we're lacking, we can kind of bring up. And I like the wheel concept because, it's easy to visualize because you're thinking, okay, if I'm short here, when that wheel is turning, it's going to go kerthud, kerthud, kerthud. And we don't want that. We at least went a little thud as opposed to a big, okay, we're stopping point. And that can happen with all of these various topics that we're going to be doing. So it's going to be so great today to really start this series with wellness, because that obviously is the core. Actually, all of these things are incredibly important. But if you're not healthy, many of these other things just don't even pertain. And so Eugene knows Maria. We've only met on social media. And so Eugene, if you want to introduce Maria, and then we'll just kind of go from there. This is going to be a great discussion.
All right, thanks, Deb. I am super, super excited about introducing Maria, because Maria and I met back in, I think, 2016, 2017 in a local event here in the Georgia area. And I was just fascinated about her energy, her focus, and what she's doing. And she is a speaker, a health and insulin resistance coach, a fitness trainer, a podcaster, and a corporate wellness consultant. And believe it or not, she left the corporate world to empower stressed out and sugar carb lovers to optimize their weight and health so they can rediscover vitality and lead a fulfilling life. That's me. So she offers custom tailored programs to focus on discovering foods for your body while keeping your blood sugar and inflammation under control. Then they have a healing opportunity with the hormone, immune, digestion, energy, and there's some lab testing that goes along with that. And believe it or not, Maria's background, we all go in different places. She had an MBA from Emory University, and just a phenomenal background and her energy. And I will share this with the group. I actually participated on one of her virtual training sessions, and the other people online, and Maria, I don't know if you remember this, they were a lot farther along in life and age than I was, and they kicked my butt. So her approach is just phenomenal, and I can't say enough wonderful things about Maria. Her energy level, which you're going to find here in a few minutes, and her knowledge about health and wellness is incredible. So I'm going to turn it over to Maria. Maria, welcome to VINES, and we look forward to learning from you today.
Oh, well, what a nice introduction. Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. Can you hear me well? Yes? Okay, great. And you can see me well too. Hello. Yeah, Eugene, I remember that very clearly. And actually I do I do mention that I have mentioned that a few times since that happened a few years ago, because it was a clear example, and like you just mentioned over here, was to when a person feels well, like in your case, you are not a guy who is overweight or obese, and you're feeling like I'm doing great. And all of a sudden you're comes up and like, oh, let me see what's going on over here. This were like just a body movements. He came to one of my group classes of fitness, and he got his ass kicked, like he said, by people who are older than him, people who are exercising, with me once or twice a week, but they're doing their work outside, to prevent. So yes, we do not know sometimes where we stand until we're putting into test, right? And that is the beauty, I think, of us staying in tune with our health and wellness and really not taking it for granted. So I love the opportunity to be here. And today, if that's okay with you guys, I would like to share a little, some slides. So keep everybody, on track. Is that okay? All right. Sounds good. So, and by the way, you are welcome to post questions. I'm going to be posting questions to you. So put on the chat. And I will answer any questions at some point too. If it is something urgent, say, yay, interrupt me, that's okay. Very dynamic. Let's keep it dynamic here. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this. So can you all see the slides? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So, I really want to talk about kind of things that drive our aging process and things that we can do to slow down that aging process, because we all have come through some interesting times, right? For the last year and a half, a lot had happened in our lives. Some things change forever. I do not believe that there is such a thing as going back to normal. We are creating that new normal. Mm-hmm. And it is up to us to drive that. And to me, as Debbie mentioned, it started with wellness. Why? Because there is no wealth without wellness and health. So once we slow down onto that, we kind of lose track of it, or say, you know what, I'll deal with this later. We're pushing our progress, our growth that is physical, mental, and emotional, and even spiritual also to the side. So I believe that we got to be always on top of our wellness. And there's multiple aspects. And today I would like to talk about the aging, because we're all aging every day, right? And I'm in the business of helping you to slow down that aging process, okay? So your choices do matter. And that's the key word that I use. And I hope you don't take this in a personal way, but it's our choice. Sometimes, and I talk to a lot of people and they're like, oh, it's not my choice. Yes, it is your choice. We don't want to recognize that we are choosing those things, but it's important that we say, you know what, hold on a second, time out. I am choosing this. Is there another way? Okay. So I also have to put a little medical disclaimer, obviously, The information over here is not intended to replace your one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional. It's intended to give you access to information, knowledge, and you can make your choices, and you can discuss this with your healthcare professional in case, especially if you have any diseases, preconditions, and you want to take steps to a healthier you. So always take care, of that aspect. Always discuss with your professional. So, I know everybody here in this call is a business person, right? In one way or another, we are always selling ourselves. I don't care what you say, but if nothing else, you're selling your opinion. Sometimes you're trying to motivate somebody. And I think also about a health and wellness from a perspective of organization. And I want you to upgrade yourself. I upgrade every client that I have to become a CHO, is a Chief Health Officer. If you think about a company, right, a successful company, independently what they do, okay, and what products they sell. Let's pick up maybe Coca-Cola, or even Pepsi. I know I'm not motivating you to buy their products. I'm just talking about a successful company who have been in place for many, many decades. What do? They have a vision, they have a mission, and then from there, they start equipping the company with employees, and they form groups, they form assessments, they have goals in place, and they have ways to track their goals, and so on, so on. I don't have to go through that. And with our health and wellness, it's the same thing. I want you to become, how am I leading my body and my mind, right? And that's through your choices. So choices, who are surrounded with? Are the good companies, meaning the good employees, or not bad, or bad employees? Do I have a vision? Do I have a mission to myself? What kind of legacy do I want to live as a person? Will my health and wellness have a say onto this, a legacy that I'm leaving behind me? These people that I'm surrounded with, are they helping me to achieve my goals or not? Are they adding more stress to my life or not? I'm not saying that we've got to rid of everybody in our life, but there are times that we really have to make choices and put people maybe sometimes in categories. When we have goals to achieve certain things in life, whatever they are, and we all have goals in this. If you're sitting here, you have a goal. You got to assess, right, what you're doing on a daily basis, who are with you in this journey, and what are your next steps. So become a Chief Health Officer. It's you're making all the decisions and not being led by other people. I don't care if it's the government, if it is the vaccines, I don't care what you're talking about. You are in charge of these decisions, how you go about educated decisions, obviously. I also like to think about health and wellness, like through a pyramid that you see in front of you here. This pyramid is, I consider, the pyramid of health. And, we have pillars. These pillars are like your nutrition, your exercise, or physical activity, or movement, whatever you want to call it. The way you're handling stress, your mindset towards life. Are you sleeping or not? What quality of sleep? Are you having some fun? Jesus, how many people don't know what fun is anymore? I like to crack myself up before I go to bed. I love to pull up some reels on Instagram and look at cat stuff and dog stuff. They really crack me up. And, I normally do the same thing when I wake up in the morning. It's a matter of attitude. Doesn't matter how the day goes, right? We take a few minutes in the evening and in the morning to reflect about the day. So I like to laugh some. And so this pyramid, these pillars that we're talking about here are going to impact some of the most important systems in the body, from the digestion to blood sugar, adrenal, which is adrenal glands. They release cortisol, which is our stress hormone, thyroid, or metabolism over here, but sex hormones and organs. But all those things that you can see, they're in a pyramid format because, if we're not absorbing, the foods, if we're not breaking down the foods correctly, all those things above the line over here are going to be impacted. And sometimes we go into
the medical world, I'm not against doctors, absolutely not. There is a place for them to be and to exist, but they are in the role of looking at your symptom and looking into pharmaceuticals to kind of, minimize those symptoms. It's not about healing. It's not about looking to the root cause. It's about putting a Band-Aid. And you being the CHO of your life, you're going to look at the root cause. And maybe you don't have all the education that requires for you to dig. And that's where you get with people like myself, and other health coaches with kind of a background into taking on a comprehensive approach to life and wellness. So you can dive deep into the potential causes that are impacting your energy, your health, your vitality, and so on. So those are important things that I see. And that's the way that I look into health and wellness. In the end of the day, is like putting kind of, I call this DRESS in self-screening. A DRESS means just a protocol, that is diet, rest, exercise, sleep, supplementation. And supplementation is like supplements. I'm not a supplement driver over here. That's not the case, but I do believe that it's indispensable for us these days, considering the quality of the soil, and how the foods are coming about, that we have to supplement to give our bodies what we need, our cells what they need. And I say self-screening is because in the end of the day is not diagnostic screening, but there is saliva tests, stool tests, and other things that are going to really look into the wellness from your digestions or your cortisol levels and things like that, that when together, they kind of identify what I call hidden stressors that gets into, hormones, immunity, digestion, detoxification of the body, energy production, and neural system. Okay, so all those things, when we put all those things together, that's your healing protocol. And requires, obviously, like anything else, for us to be successful, to get our body to thrive. It might require some work depending where you are with your health and wellness. I think everybody can use some help. Okay, so now I would like you to kind of grab a pen and paper over there and put on the chat this too. I'll give you kind of a minute here. I want you to look at the screen, and there is different factors over here: neurological, cardiovascular, multi-system effects, respiratory, so on. I would like you to kind of look at each one of the segments and count the number of people, including yourself, okay, that that have one of these conditions. So, there's several over here. There's over, I think 30, I didn't count, so go through each one of them and says, yeah, there is, like, for example, if it with ADD, autism, so on, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There could be 8 in neurological, and go downhill. And let's share on the chat. I would love to know, the conditions, the number of conditions that people in your life. Okay. I'll give you a minute. All right. So if you're done going through, put in the chat, please. Eugene, 15. Debbie, almost all. Oh my God, Debbie. I'm not saying that is all you. I understand that the question, it says, woo, there's some heavy hitters in there. Don't worry about it. This information is between us, and we're not disclaiming names or anything like that. So I would love for you to put in there. It's just to give us a perspective over here as we continue the conversation, okay? And we're going to dive a little bit more into what these things are. What are drivers for this diseases that you see in front of us here? And if you don't know anybody with any of these things, I'm going to ask, what kind of role do you live in? And do you accept people in? Because I might be in, I might want to join you.
I think the scary thing for me is how many people I know with the multi-system effects.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Anybody else? I just see more people on the call, but no other feedback. I respect your right to not add anything. That's okay. We're going to move on. Okay. If anybody has anything to say about this before I continue. Okay. Family, neighborhood. Yeah. Maybe 10. Okay. Thank you, Susie or Suze. Yeah. Okay.
I wonder, Maria, as not to throw us off track, but I wonder these things that you've got up on the screen, and over the last 18 or 19 months, the COVID pandemic, how many of these have come forward even more? Not because of having COVID, but people being isolated and stress and the impact this has on several of these categories.
Yeah, and we're gonna dive into that, Eugene. That's a great observation. I think that with COVID, there's a few things that came, right? A lot of people with certain conditions like that, rising or not, were not getting the help that they needed because they're not going to the hospitals and putting themselves at risk. So became a very COVID-centric kind of, world where all the conditions became COVID, while there is a lot of underlying problems that were not actually put into the front. And now that time has passed, we see more of these problems coming up front because it's still the cardiovascular issues and things like that is still the number one. It's not COVID, right? But what drives the COVID, well, is a lot of times is the conditions of people, from obesity, cardiovascular, diabetes, people with kind of a weak immune system. But we're not here to discuss that specifically, right? But yes, it's a great observation. But we are here to talk about what is what is driving some of this. So Carol says that she's confused, continuing the number of conditions were no. Yes, Carol, this was basically, if for example, in the multi-system, there is 10 items. If people that hit, maybe somebody with anxiety, maybe somebody with diabetes, that's 2. Somebody with inflammation, that's 3. Cancer, 4. That kind of thing. That's what the question was about. But I think that what we came about over here to understand that there's, like Debbie says, a multiple, and a multifaceted aspect. And there is a reason for that. Okay. These are chronic inflammatory issues. And when inflammation hits the body, then these things, it can get out of track. Okay. So, so now pointing to Eugene, I want to just to put this on the screen, and we didn't talk about that, but that's a great question, Eugene. That was a great segue, So here is, we don't think sometimes of stress to this level, right? And we're not going to spend a ton of time in here, but I just want you to kind of, look at this circle and it says, holy cow, maybe you're aware of how is spread the negative consequences of stress can be. But I'm here to highlight this: stress is important in our life. Okay, we must have stress. This is the body; it needs, is stress to survive. Without stress, we wouldn't be alive here either. That comes from elevation of things like cortisol, which is the most common hormone that we're aware of. There is other hormones involved on that, but you can see over here that this is stressors. As you look into the circle, they're not only internal but they're also external, meaning that what are the stressors from outside that are impacting my life, and then there are the stressors from inside the body. Right? Because we're generating stress every day. Right now, as I'm speaking, and with a lot of, enthusiasm over here, my body is creating what is called free radicals. And these free radicals, is part of the system. The body's processing and creating junk, basically, right? After metabolizing things. Now, the thing is, are these junk stay in the body, or they are actually being able to be released and the body being dealt with, the body's dealing with it, right? So there's a lot of things over here, linking back to the CHO of you being in charge of your health and wellness. What can you do? I'm just going to be picking about sleep over here. Okay, it's very simple. People complain, about having problems with sleep quite often. Actually, the statistic is going to say that 75% of the population is dehydrated or also have sleep issues. Well, why is that? Well, is that because you're drinking caffeine until late at night? Or is that because maybe your genetic predisposition to caffeine is very weak, and even the little bit that you have stays in your body longer than, for example, myself? Is that maybe because you're watching, you have screens and all that until late at night, looking at your phone or getting your brain active, before bed? People think, well, yeah, but that's normal. Well, it's your choice. It's your choice to do those things. If you're saying that the sleep is not well, and it says, okay, why does sleep matter so much? Well, it matters, back in the day, when I started with my health and wellness journey, I thought that the key thing was really nutrition. And it is. Nutrition is very important. Okay. So is exercise, like Eugene mentioned. But let me tell you this. If your sleep is out of whack, my friend, you're not going to have any will. You're not going to have, your chances of being successful, of maintaining a healthy diet and having the stamina to go and exercise or move where you can benefit the most is going to be decreased significantly. So is sleep, in my perspective these days, it is the most important aspect of our life that we got to get on, and kind of correct as much as possible. And there's many reasons that our sleep could be out of whack, right? I'm just going to pick on this one, but I want you to see that it's the stress is a very complex mechanism, and the internal and external stresses happen all the time. We have choices. And I want you to, as you look at this, to say, you know what, at the end, especially at the end of this presentation today, to say, what areas can I do better? And it's not about being perfect. It's about picking one area that you say, you know what, I can do better today with this. As a coach, that's where I guide people. I said, well, let's find out what deficiencies, what things that you need help the most, and how can we make progress? Because the progress is the key word over here. Okay, it's not about perfection. It's about making progress so you can get more energy in a cellular level, right? So you can do more of the things that you love on a daily basis. Make sense? Okay, I can see some nods. Okay, good deal. All right. And again, you can put your questions on the chat and I'll address it later, or you can, write them down. So the next thing I want to talk about is what I call, a metabolic chaos. And this you see over here, cortisol, over DHA. DHA, we're not going to speak about that today, but DHA is another hormone, is another protector of the body, is a steroid hormone that is highly, again, dependent on the health and wellness of our bodies. It's one of the precursors to DHA is pregnenolone, which all of men and women have it, and precursor to that is going to be cholesterol. So, cholesterol, we all need cholesterol. Okay, there's too much of cholesterol. Same thing as too much cortisol, stress. Those are not good. Nothing that is insanely low or insanely high is good for us, right? So that's where the kind of moderation word, I believe that is acceptable. After that, other than that, I don't believe that's a word that should be acceptable because everybody's unique. And we need to address, each individual as they are and as that they show up and where they want to go. So one approach does not fit all. And that's why there is a deep analysis into the individual before a protocol is put in place, instead of being the general thing that you see somebody, doing, a friend or somebody in social media or whoever that is, celebrity, that kind of stuff. So what's going on over here is just also to give you a perspective that, how the cortisol can impact our bodies. And you see HPA axis, that is the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands. So it basically goes from the brain all the way to the adrenal glands that sits on top of our kidneys that produce cortisol. And when this is kind of out of balance, And that will be an out of balance where there is too much internal and external stressors, right? It spreads. It can spread into multiple ways, right? Where we're seeing, carb and fat metabolism being out of whack, where we see bone health getting deteriorated, where we see our endocrine system being off. And, picking over here on the thyroid function, because seems like in the last 5 to 10 years now, everybody has a thyroid problem, never existed before, but they do have it. Well, is that really a thyroid problem, or is that where's the problem is relying? Because if you have extreme levels of stress, that is going to dysregulate your digestive system. If you consume too much sugars, or simple carbs, or your balance or your diet is out of whack, is going to impact your digestive system, which is going to impact your blood sugar, which is going to impact your thyroid. So what I'm trying to say over here is that sometimes, depending where the person is at, it is really, really hard to say it's one thing, because the body is so interdependent. And although I would love to say that I will always help people to get to the root cause of the problem, sometimes, nobody will get to the root cause of the problem because the chaos has been going on for too long. And the reason for us to be sitting in this call here today is because, what? Let me take charge of whatever is not going well, because you don't want to get to the point where the chaos is to the point that nobody can figure it out, And when you go to a doctor, it is about putting those Band-Aids. When you come to me and we align forces with, a coach like myself, and maybe a naturopath, and maybe a chiropractor, and you form that health village, and including your doctor, maybe surgeons, whatever it is, okay? It's a health village. Then we might be able to get closer and closer, to that. And that's part of the work that I do, is getting closer to identifying those hidden stressors so we can kind of help you to move away from it and get closer to what the bodies call homeostasis, right? Where each cell is doing what their job is to do, is to keep us doing well. We do not have to tell what each cell has to do, okay? None of us. The cells know exactly. They don't need a boss saying, hey, cell, go over here, go and do this. No. What we need to do over here as humans in charge is to do what? Is to fuel, F-U-E-L, the cells what they need to actually give us that momentum to keep us, thriving in life. Okay, I get excited about this sometimes. Okay, sorry about that. So, what exactly? So now that we've gone through that, and there are several people of 10, 15, whatever, several, multiple, right? I'm moving from the general conversation of just stress to what something that most people don't talk about, which is called oxidative stress. And that's those diseases that you're seeing over there that you kind of said, oh, I know a lot of people with, they are consequences of chronic oxidative stress. And in a nutshell, without getting too technical, just look at the picture on the right side of the screen. That will tell you what oxidative stress is. Here you have a normal cell that is beautiful. You're feeding, you and I are feeding that cell, great stuff, and is looking beautiful. And now all of a sudden, like I said, we're generating those free radicals, which comes from, metabolism in general. Of everything that breathing over here is creating free radicals, right? It's kind of, I'll think about the little junk after, operate. After you clean, there is some dust and all that, okay? There is some residual, So here we go. The cell now has some free radicals on it. Now, if we continue to have those free radicals, that we're not able to release them or to clean them up, that's where the problem lies. It's on the destruction of those cells. So what is that? How can you and I, look into ways that we are, not compromising the health of our cells, that this process of, cell to free radicals happen normal, in the body, that the body can expel this stuff and say, okay, out, out, and not accumulate and destroy the cells, right? So that's what oxidative stress is. So here we go. These are some of the causes that is we are exposed to every single day. Every single day. And there is no way that you and I are going to get rid of these things. What you and I can do is slow down this, is slow down the absorption of this, is slow down the access to this by taking measures. So air pollution, that's a complicated one, right? Poor people who live, around fires and things like that, or in China or very polluted cities. Okay, can we do something about it? Yes, we can go to more, maybe once a week we can go and go to around, go do walks in nature, if you have that available, or maybe a air purifier, something like that, or maybe you have to move, and if that's the health, that potentially is destroying you to a greater degree. So maybe if you don't want to die sooner, maybe you have to move. Okay. So alcohol, look, I drink I love, there is a Mexican place by my house over here called Zama, making a little propaganda. They have a sangria. Once about, a couple of weeks, I go in there and I have my sangria. Okay. I love that thing. Okay. Love it. Now, do you think that I eat the junk? No, I don't do the chips. I don't eat their food. Sometimes I do the guacamole on a lettuce wrap, by the way. But normally I even show up with my electrolytes, okay, while I drink my sangria. So I'm in charge of this. I'm giving myself the permission to have this, sangria, once in a while, but I'm precautious. I'm taking the cautious that I do. And it says, I'm in charge of what I'm doing. I'm not going there dehydrated. I'm not going there hungry, and so on, where this alcohol content becomes out of whack and out of control. So, and we're not going to get into discussion here today of saying, 1 or 2 glasses of wine a day is fine. I'm sorry, it's not fine. Okay. It's not fine, because if you look into antioxidants, because that's what actually cleans, okay, helps with those free radicals. It's not from alcohol that we're going to get. We're going to get that from food and maybe supplementation. Okay. But not from alcohol. And alcohol has a much greater destructive part in our bodies than this. And 1 or 2 glasses a day is not the thing that I recommend. Once in a while, that's fine. Okay. So anyway, cigarette smoking, there is still 20% of the population. That to me is the #1 killer in our body. And if you love yourself, or if if you smoke and you love yourself, I would say rethink about what love is, because when you know that you're destroying every cell of your body with this on a daily basis, multiple times a day, I think that love has to be redefined. Either you love yourself and you stop, or, redefine and don't be angry at the world. I'm sorry. That's how bold I can come when it comes to cigarette smoke. Okay. And drugs, drugs are not only, pharmaceutical drugs, because they impact the body, but also recreational drugs and so on. High fat diet, fried foods and so that. Look, I eat a very high fat diet, but it's from nuts and seeds. It is from avocado. It is from coconut and things like that. It's not the high fat from fried. Do I eat fried food? Boy, once in a blue moon. I don't remember the last time I went to, a fast food place. I don't remember really. But anyway, I make my choices. Okay. It's about making choices. And I'm not the person who is an extremist. I do believe that sometimes, depending on the state of health of somebody, they're going to have to go through a state that is say, you know what, we have to stop everything over here. And then slowly we can add certain things back to our lives. But if you are in an okay health, 80 to 20% rule is fine. 80% is an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. 20% is just like me having my alcohol here and there. Or me, maybe if I'm going out for friends, stealing a couple fries from somebody's plates. You see what I'm saying? We all have to discover where we are today, so we can know that the choices that we're making today for tomorrow are good ones. And, irradiation, inflammation that comes from multiple things. from the foods, from stress, but from alcohol, from beverages, from overconsumption of certain things, and so on. So this is what's creating this chaos that we're just looking into here. And this is, sometimes not discussed. It is in a cellular level, and we just don't think about it. So your choices matter here, so you need to know where you're at. And just having that kind of thing of, what, I'm fine. Oh my God. The word fine just rubs me just wrong a little bit. I'm like, how are you doing? Fine. I says, fine? Is that it? I mean, is that how you want to be? Is that how life is for you? That's how you want to feel? No, you want to feel awesome. So sometimes people get acquainted and get too close to the average population who is actually fine, or below fine, but they're not going to say anything better because fine, most people are not going to challenge that, right? That state. But I want you to be vibrant. I want you to have energy to conquer the world, and is not to be compliant, with the average population who is not well. So you have to take charge of this. So know where you are at now. Discover, test to measure. So if we don't test, we don't know where we're at. We don't know. It's hard for us to put, things in place that is going to get us somewhere. And if you have goals, dreams, even if it is to aid you with your loved one, holding hands, for you to go into more hikes, for you to, go continue to do grocery shopping until you're 89 years old. I don't care what it is. Go to the beach and play with your grandchildren or with your friends, or feel like awesome in front of your friends too. And it says, man, I'm doing well. Whatever it is, you need to know where you're at. So sometimes we need to do testing. We need to kind of confront the devil here and see, where my blood work is, where my creatures in my digestive system are they healthy or not? Do I have pathogens? Do I have, what is it? Do I have inflammation? So then we can implement those lifestyle choices from the foods that we eat, right? From antioxidants, those oxidants that we're talking about, food rich in antioxidants, those vibrant, colorful foods that we all see in our plate. Sometimes most people eat like white and beige and brown. And says, oh my Lord, let's put some color. Change number one, color, fresh food. It doesn't have to be all fresh, but have always some fresh food with cooked if you like that. I like both, and sometimes, like I said, we need some supplementation to help with this antioxidant, to this oxidative world that we live in, and, a lot of times people say, what, and they like, and I put over here on the screen, some of the causal factors, the toxicity that we mentioned, but also overexercise. Look, overexercise, it will be a problem for somebody who is really in what I call exhaustive phase of their adrenal glands, okay? Where you still must move, but you're not going to be doing high intensity workouts, all right? Most people, I think is like 27% of the population, Americans actually exercise 3 or more times a week. So the over-exercise is not for most people. Most people are doing their walks only, but not challenging their muscles. They're not helping their bodies to actually build the muscles that is going to protect, that to exercise to the point that is going to actually continue to activate their bones. So their bone density doesn't decay over time. Okay, so exercise is indispensable, and I'm sorry if you're a walker only, that's not enough. That's not enough. We need to challenge our bones. We need to challenge our muscles. Okay. And so on. So we need to kind of assess, know where we are at, so we can put this therapies in place. And a lot of times, some things get out of whack to the point that, cardiovascular disease is in front of us. Diabetes is in front of us. Mental health, from brain diseases are in front of us because this oxidative stress is not being detected in the back end because we're just too concerned with pushing through every day. I'm asking you here today to not push through. I'm asking you to slow down and ask ask tough questions, have tough conversations with yourself, like I did 10 years ago. I have a come to Jesus conversation. So I was like, hold on, Maria, where do you want to be when you're 60, 70, 80, and 90, whatever the day that, I'm out of here? How do I want to feel? And that's why I changed all my life. And, not planning at the time to change my career either. I was in corporate, finance, making six figures. And I became really passionate about health because I started thinking about my future as I age. I was single, I'm still single, and families in Brazil, everybody's there. And I'm thinking, no kids. And I'm thinking the worst case scenario, we love to do that in finance, option A, B, C, D, and F, all the way to alphabet. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to age here by myself, and I'm not going to have kids involved, and I'm going to be away from my family. What do I need? I need health. And that is physical, mental, and emotional. I had been depressed once, and I said, I don't want to ever go back there. I'll do everything in my power to avoid that, because that was a terrible time in my life. And I says, okay, if I don't want to get to that point, what do I need? Okay, well, I need to stay, do the things that I love. I love to travel. I like to meet people. I like to stay active. And I says, how am I going to do that? Health. And I'm like, okay, health. All right. So I'm like, okay, let me look into my family history. Okay, that was not a good picture. My mom is the biggest motivator, for me, because I definitely don't want to end up like end up in the way that she's aging, bless her heart. And there are certain things I cannot help with because she's not accepting, and I'm very far away. And I says, okay, and what are Maria's problems now? Right. At the time, I was a sugar addict to a very pretty bad extreme. I had eating disorder. I had, lots of gastrointestinal issues, from constipation to burping to reflux to hemorrhoids and so on. But I always like, okay, well, that's fine. Everybody has this stuff. No, it's not fine. It's not fine. It's not normal. I don't care what anybody else has. And I don't want you to care what anybody else has. The conversation should be should not be about how many pills you and I are taking or how many doctor visits. Is, what am I doing that I love to do and I can do it? So that's the talk of today. And every choice that you make, every single second, from the thoughts to the words, to the foods, the beverages, to activity or not, they impact. And that's what I want you to take away from this conversation today. And if there is anything that I can help you with, I will love that, because it's all about looking at what you need. And I can schedule a free consultation with you. We're going to dive into what's your trajectory so far, where you want to go, and if I'm the right person to help you there. And the link is on the screen over here. And this is, like I said, it's a complimentary call. So I'm open for questions. And let me see what's in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, this has been absolutely fantastic. And I've been thinking, I have this wrong and this wrong. And, I am one of those people that I was like, you were going through your list of things. I have my list of things too, but it's so interesting when we really start thinking about this as to how we can take control of our health, and really, because it is up to us, right? We tend to pass it on to everybody else or blame everybody else, but it's our choice. And I love that.
Yeah.
And one of the things too is I go to a chiropractor and I hear regular conversations about, again, back to, we've all been somewhat stationary in our homes because of COVID, and they're getting more patients in that have back issues. And Maria, I'm sure you are interacting with more people that are home sitting, they're not eating right, they're stressed. All of that becomes just a huge pillar of issues because our lives have changed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the message we want to get out today is, if we're listening to this presentation and hear your passion coming across, and it's like, you know what, this has motivated me. I need help. So you're saying folks can reach out to you. You do have an assessment, And tell us a little bit at a high level, how does that assessment work? Is that a 10-minute fill out a form and get back to you, or how does that happen?
Yeah, no, yeah. Once you go to this link over here, it's going to ask you some fundamental questions that is going to help me assess where we're at right now, at this moment. And then when we get into the conversation, we're going to dive, a little bit into the why this is so important to you, and understanding your goals, where do you want to go. And it's more about being a fit, are we a fit to work? Because everybody comes in a different stage. Look, I work with a young man, like, one of my latest male clients, 27-year-old, and he's not obese, not overweight or anything. It's like, I just feel like I'm not, as vibrant as I used to. I used to do mountain bike and this and that, and I'm feeling a little bit of this, belly. I didn't have any before, and da. I mean, the guy, travels Monday through Thursday, right? And he's very busy. And you know what? Do you think that I'm going to put him through labs and all that? He's not looking for that. He's just looking for an adjustment to their health and wellness and habits, to build new habits. That's where he's at the moment. As a coach, I need to meet people where they're at and inform them, hey, if you want to get here based on what I know of the person, once we start working together, then I'll know a lot more. There's a lot more assessments, then I'll say, well, you might have to dive a little deeper. Okay. But for him, in 4 sessions, this guy lost so much weight, and he travels, he goes to these little places that he go every week. He goes to these restaurants and we pull up menus online. And I said, this is what I want you to do. And he says, I like this and that. Okay. I want you to switch that for that, swap this for that. And in the morning, I want you to do this and that and that. Evening, 10-minute work from the hotel room, boom, boom, boom. So 1 month he had already reached great energy. His girlfriend came to me and it says, I never seen him with this much energy. How can you help me? In 2 months, this guy was at weight that he was in high school. And he says, I don't remember having so much energy like this. Small tweaks. Obviously, a 27-year-old male is different than a 50-year-old woman. Right? So that's what I'm saying. Everybody's unique, and I have to meet people where they're at, and also make them aware if they want to get to somewhere else, that maybe they're not willing to compromise right now, that they might not meet their goals. That's my job as a coach. Any other questions? Any other comments on this? What brought up for you?
So I'm assuming, Maria, that you can do this all remotely. So, people can be anywhere to take advantage of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, 100% of my clients have been online way before COVID. Mm-hmm. I start doing personal training online, 2017. But I do have some people who like in person, but I haven't had, recently anybody. I have people right here, 20 minutes from me in Atlanta, that they do from home. And, from a fitness perspective, but also from a coaching. And that makes me, where I want to really the business to be, because my motto is no excuse, like I say it. It's about, there is no excuse to where you're located, where you live, what state you are at. There is always ways to improve. And I didn't want to be planted in one location to help people. So that's where I drove my business to be, is to be mobile in that perspective.
And one of the sessions I participated with Maria, she actually, through the camera can see you, and she was so-called motivating me to straighten my back or do things differently. But she's spot on. She can watch how you're doing things. It's just not neck down. So that was very beneficial. So it's, a lot of folks are going out and getting all these exercise equipment stuff, but it's just fascinating to be through the program. And today I've learned so much from the presentation today. So we thank you, Maria, for that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing is, I think that sometimes this kind of conversations can be frightening, can be scary for people, because, but the idea here is not to scare you, is to raise awareness, right? And to empower you to say, you know what? Oh my God, if I'm feeling like, say, I don't know, 2 or 3 things out of those lists, and we didn't talk about acute inflammation or chronic inflammation. We just talked about oxidative stress, which raises inflammation, right? But there's many other things. Awareness is the number one, where we're at. And if we want to change, we really have to tune into our bodies. I see a lot of people doing this. They shut their ears and they shut their eyes. And I believe that a lot of that happens is because they have the fear that if change comes, or because they know now that they are going to feel obligated to change. So if you do this, if I don't have the right environment around me, if I don't surround myself with people who are healthy, taking action, so on, everybody around me is not feeling well. So the conversations is about not feeling well, then I'm comfortable. But we all know here that comfort does not allow us to grow anywhere in life. And I love John Maxwell's saying, when he said that, I was like, bingo. You all know John Maxwell? Yeah, probably, right? I did his training on 15 laws of growth. And it was a great, great online training. And he says that, folks, when things are going downhill, that they're easy, start a job or something, or your life is just, oh yeah, everything is great. It is running by itself. That is actually not a good thing. Because if it is running by itself, it is going down, right? Because if it is a plateau over here, nothing, the traverse over here, if you go skiing, and if it is like that, you have to work really hard to keep moving, right? Oh my God. Now, if it's going down, you're going to go fast and that slope, right? So it's like, if our life, in any aspect of our life, is going easy and is going running by itself, well, let's review that. It's probably not growing. It's just going by itself. And the health and wellness is the same way. If you wake up in the morning and say, oh yeah, every day's the same thing. I love that, right? So you wake up in the morning, you have a little cup of coffee, maybe you interact with the kids or wife, whatever, husband, and go to work, you do your thing, and you come back home, you sit down, watch some TV, maybe have a little conversation with the family again, maybe, because everybody's on the cell phone these days. So you put on your phone, whatever, connect, go back and check in emails. Well, you wake up and do the same thing every day. It's a robot actions. And it says, to me, and I'm saying this, by the way, with plenty of experience, because I used to be that person. I used to go and work hard, 12 to 16 hours. I would mingle with my friends at night, maybe play a little volleyball, come back home, sleep, and do the same over again. I wasn't thinking about my purpose. I wasn't thinking about, what else in life besides work. Work is almost defining me. And it says, hold on a second. What are the dreams do I have? What are the things I want to accomplish? Can I, again, there is a time that this conversation is going to have. And I hope that today, if you haven't thought about it, or if you know somebody who haven't thought about it, hey, maybe let's converse. Let's spike this motivation. Let's trigger this conversation with somebody who is a loved one of yours, because there is more to life. And we're going to achieve this more to life when we're feeling well, when we can get up with zest, with like, oh my God, today I'm going to go and get it.
Great. I love that. I hate to interrupt, but we've only got a couple more minutes, and Susan unmuted herself, and so has Brian. So I don't know if they had questions.
Oh, I was just saying, getting ready to go, guys, because I've got an audit upstairs. So I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for being here.
We'll see you next month.
Have a beautiful day, and I will see you guys.
Great. Brian, did you have unmuted?
Yeah, I had a question. I know what an MBA is. What's a PNL1?
Oh, it's Precision Nutrition Level 1. It's just precision nutrition.
Oh,
precision nutrition.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm about to add a few more letters. I'm getting my certification on functional diagnostic nutrition, which I'm very excited. Kind of a different perspective on processes. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Brian, did you think it was profit loss?
I wasn't sure what it was, but I just was looking and going MBA, CPT, PNL.
You're making your own little song. I got it. My Brian, are you a finance guy too?
No, I'm a musician.
A musician. All right.
Hence the singing of the yes.
Yeah, that went very well.
Thank you.
Right. Well, Carol, do you have any thoughts? I don't want to put you on the spot. Carol or Brian, do you have any final thoughts that we want to talk to Maria about?
No, it was good. Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much great information, and I think this is a good place to wrap up. We are recording this, and so there was so much information. I encourage everybody to go back and, if you're curious, and watch it again, because when we really start looking at those charts, and and it's funny because if you're like me, the screen was far enough away, I didn't want to be all squinty at it, so I might watch the recording just so I can see it better. But it is as we said, we have that choice. We have to make those decisions. And so Maria, do you have any final thoughts for us?
No, well, except that go about and really put efforts to becoming in charge of your health and wellness. Take power, of these decisions. Don't let anybody else dictate your choices and your direction of your life. You have a great deal of power into that.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, our next group, I'm having a look down here at my calendar. Our next meeting will be October 19th. We haven't decided yet what the topic is, so stay tuned.